Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. It has been a while since I've uploaded a video. I hope you guys have had a really good break after the end of last season. But a couple of days ago, the 23-24 season just launched and the game is now live. So you guys can go in there, take a look at the player prices and also form some Game Week 1 drafts. So I'm sure most of you have already done so. I've taken some time to take a look at the player prices and see which formation seems like the best for Game Week 1 and how we can take the team moving forward. So I will present in this video my current Game Week 1 first draft. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. We're gonna try and grow the channel this season and grow it to hopefully hit about 10,000 subscribers by the end of this season. That will be the aim, but I'm really excited for this season. I hope you guys are as well. So let's jump straight into this draft, and as you guys can see on the left hand side of the screen, 99.5 team value and also 0.5 million in the bank. So the reason why I have left some money in the bank is because I do want to account for price rises that may occur after the Game Week 1 deadline when the game goes live and people transfer players in or transfer players out. This would cause players to increase or decrease in price, and therefore I don't want to be stuck in a situation where I can't afford players due to price rises. So based on this reason for flexibility, I've left 0.5 mil in the bank. I am still able to get a really strong team out there as well, as you guys will be able to see later on. So the formation I've gone for in this draft is a 3-5-2 formation, which I think based on the player prices, mostly for midfielders, I think generally a lot of us would be wanting to go for 5 midfielders and using all 5 of their midfield slot for our starting 11 as well. Now the reason is because there are a lot of value midfield options and the premiums in general are only few and far between, right? Players like Salah, players like Kevin De Bruyne. Aside from that, the rest are pretty much in that kind of sweet spot, that range where we can actually max out the 6.5 to 9 million range. That is the one that we want to target, and we can go for some really good players all within that price range. So for this draft, a little spoiler, but I will be maximizing the potential of all 5 of my midfield spots, and then up front as well, you guys will see I've gone for 1 premium as well. So the 3-5-2 formation I think will be very popular for Game Week 1 drafts. So as you guys can see, I've also gone for a 3-5-2 formation, and let's take a look at the players I've gone for. So Jordan Pickford is my keeper of choice for this draft, 4.5 million. So I don't want to be spending too much, especially on keepers, after we've seen last season Ederson towards the end of the season he just conceded goals here and there, even though he wasn't conceding a lot of shots, right? So in general, a keeper from a really strong team does not guarantee clean sheets. I know Man City's starting fixture run is really good, so I have coverage for Man City in John Stones, but bringing the point back to Jordan Pickford, I think he is really good for save points, which is where keepers mostly get their points. And on top of that, Pickford does have a really good chance for clean sheet in the starting few game weeks because he does have a pretty good fixture run compared to all the other 4.5 million keeper options, right? So that's why I've gone for Jordan Pickford. The substitute keeper is Areola at 4.0 million. Once again, going for the cheapest keeper price, 4.0 million as the bench fodder, because I don't want to be spending too much on the substitute keeper as well. So Areola I do think is the best 4.0 keeper because Fabianski is now 38 years old. He is probably going to lose his spot sometime soon, even if he starts the first few games. We could see later on in the season Areola coming into the first team. It is also important to note that Areola did play West Ham's most important game last season, which is the Europa Conference League, right, which has now been renamed to the UEFA Conference League. But either ways, West Ham was in the final, they won it, and Areola was the keeper that David Moyes started. So I do think at some point in time you will see Areola come into the starting 11, and that's why I have him on the bench. As for defenders, let's take a look at the defensive 3 that I have on the screen right now. It's John Stones, Gabriel, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So As you guys can see, Trent is the only premium option I've gone for in defense. So he's 8.0 million, but I do think he kind of justifies this price tag. A lot of us were hoping for 7.5 million, but I do think like FPL have done a decent job in pricing him at 8 mil simply because his explosiveness in his current role where he's playing the inverted fullback role. I do think like he will get a lot of chance for assists, and also when you couple that with the potential clean sheets for him, I do think like he will be in for a lot of hauls. So currently he is in my team, 8.0 million, and as you guys can see for the other price points in my defense, 5.5 and 5 mil, I've kind of skipped the range from 6 mil all the way up till 8 mil, simply because there are only 4 players in that range, and I don't think like they are really good options. Trippier, Cancelo, Robertson and Virgil van Dijk. I think Liverpool coverage is already in Trent, right? Trippier, he doesn't have a really good run as when they kick off the season, and also Cancelo, we know there is a situation going on where he probably will not be in the Man City team come the start of the season, right? So I think we can kind of ignore that price bracket, and we're jumping down straight to 5.5. I think there are a couple of good options there. John Stones could very easily be Reece James, it could be Ben Chilwell, but for now I do want to have some Man City coverage, so 5.5 million for John Stones. I do think like he will continue to play in that inverted fullback role similar to Trent, so I do think like moving forward he will be in quite advanced positions. So 5.5 I think is a decent price tag for him, and it covers that price point for me, so that I can just simply swap to Ben Chilwell or Reece James if John Stones get injured or whatsoever. Now as for Gabriel, he's 5.0 million, so again it covers a different price point for me, and the 5.0 million defenders are actually pretty decent. Now I've gone for Gabriel here simply because I know his goal threat is really good, and Arsenal do have a pretty good run of fixtures right out of the blocks. So I do think like Gabriel will be in for some clean sheets, and of course generally he does pick up a goal here and there, so let's hope that happens as well. And then on the bench for my defenders and also my last forward spot, I've gone for Mings, Bayer and Sims. Now all of them are very cheap, right? 4.5 mil for Mings. He kind of covers that 4.5 mil defender spot for me, and he is nailed as well, right, in the Aston Villa team with decent goal threat as well. So I do think like having him in my team in case I do need to bring him in or auto sub him in for someone who's injured, I think he's a decent option. Aston Villa have a pretty good run as well, so I will have some coverage there. For Bayer, he is from Burnley, and of course he is one of the enablers that a lot of people are going for, but I think out of the 4.0 defenders, Bayer is the best out of other options like Bell and also Baldock from Sheffield United. So Bayer is my 4.0 defender enabler of choice, and then Ellis Sims, of course, 4.5 million forward. He's just a bench fodder. It could be anyone else, but do take note for your last forward spot. If you are just going for a bench fodder, try to choose one that isn't very highly owned. The reason is because once the game starts, a lot of people will be selling or using wildcards or making transfers, and this third forward spot could very well drop to 4.4 million if you aren't careful with who you choose. So do choose someone that is very low owned. For now I just have a placeholder in Ellis Sims. Now in midfield, I've gone for a really strong midfield 5 as I promised just now. Saka, Foden, Mitoma, Bruno Fernandes and Bryan Mbeumo. So looking at the price points here, as you guys can see, I have two 6.5 million players in Mitoma and Mbeumo, one 7.5 million price point player in Foden, and then two 8.5 players in Saka and Bruno Fernandes. So hitting the price points for the midfielders are really important. So that's kind of the reason why I've kind of evened out the players in these price brackets, as you guys can see. So going from the lowest to the highest, I've gone for Mitoma and Mbeumo simply because I think they provide great value at their respective price points. Talking about Mitoma first, 6.5 million. He's actually the same price as Solly March, but of course, based on the eye test, I do like Mitoma, and of course I do think moving forward that Mitoma will continue to play a very important role in Brighton's season. So he clearly passes the eye test. He's still in my team. Bryan Mbeumo on the other hand, 6.5 million. Now a couple of people have shunned away from Brentford players, or they don't really understand the Mbeumo pick. Now, the reason why I've gone for Mbeumo is because firstly, he's on penalties. Secondly, he will be playing as a forward, right? As we saw towards the end of last season, he scored loads of goals when he was playing that forward position when Ivan Toney was banned, and Ivan Toney will continue to be banned up till early next year, right? And this basically means that Mbeumo has kind of solidified that forward spot for himself, and FPL has kind of made a mistake listing him as a midfielder. So 6.5 for Brian Mbeumo I think is great value, and let's not forget that he will be the one on penalties simply because Ivan Toney is not there to take the penalties, right? So I think it's great value at 6.5 million, and that's the reason why he's in the team. As for the 7.5 midfielder, I've gone for Phil Foden. Now, Kevin De Bruyne is probably not going to be able to start the first few games based on injury reports that he picked up in the last game of the season for Manchester City, which was the Champions League final. So given that De Bruyne should be out, I think Foden stepping in that position would be really good. He will find himself in places where he can create loads of chances and also pull off a lot of shots. He is someone that likes to get in and amongst the goals, so I think Foden at 7.5 is definitely someone that is on my eye, and he's in the team for the moment. Saka and Bruno Fernandes both at 8.5. They're both on penalties as well. Now, Saka, of course, starting out the blocks, Arsenal have a great run of fixtures. They have 3 home games in the first 4 fixtures, and of course against very easy opponents, let's say. So I do think like Saka, who is also still on penalties, would be someone that is locked in my team, right? Simply because at 8.5, there's just incredible value for an Arsenal team that, even though kind of looked a little bit off towards the end of last season, I think they will start the season really well, and I think going for Saka is a really good bet here. Lastly, for Bruno Fernandes at 8.5 million, you could make a case to go for Rashford instead, who is at 9 million, but for now I have my eye on Bruno Fernandes because let's not forget that last season he was the player that created the most chances in the Premier League, even more than Kevin De Bruyne, and on top of that, he is on penalties. He is the first choice penalty taker for Manchester United, and we know how important it is to have penalty takers in your team. So as you guys can see, already in my midfield, I have 3 penalty takers in Saka, Fernandes, and Mbeumo. So I do think like this midfield 5 is really strong. Of course, there are loads of other great options like Son, Maddison, right? These are options that I think could very well make their way into my team. But for now, this is the midfield 5 that I've chosen to go for. Now up front, I've gone with Erling Haaland and Gabriel Jesus. Now Erling Haaland, of course, at 14 million, a lot of people were complaining about his price point, but I do think like this is a really good job by FPL pricing him at 14 million because I think that is a valid price point for him, right? Definitely has to be higher than what he was priced last season. And aside from that as well, whether it's at 14 million or even 14.5 million, I think he's kind of a straightforward inclusion into all of our teams. He is currently actually the highest owned player, more than 80%, which I think already outshines Gabriel Jesus from last season, right? So I think Erling Haaland, 14 million, he's pretty much locked in my team. Gabriel Jesus, 8 million. Now, the reason why I've gone for him, he could very well just become Nkunku by the end of, by the time we reach the start of the season, but I've gone for Jesus instead because I think it is easier to start with a higher priced forward and then go downwards from there. And on top of that, Gabriel Jesus has better fixtures right out of the blocks as compared to Nkunku. And of course, Jesus is proven in the Premier League. Nkunku, even though he is a really great player, he will have to adapt to the physicality of the Premier League before we actually see how he fits into the Chelsea team. So I do think like Gabriel Jesus would be the second forward option that I've chosen to go for. And then of course, the last forward is on the bench, 4.5, just a bench fodder. So there we go. This is the starting 11 and also pretty much my 15-man squad for game week 1. Of course, this is my first draft. It is subjected to a lot of change or what we see in preseason if players get injured whatsoever. But let me know what you guys think, what changes you would make, and what players you guys are going for. I'd be interested to know, so let me know down in the comments. So just before I leave you guys, I do want to make a small little channel announcement, and that is regarding channel memberships. Now, I have restructured the memberships a little bit, and that's because I do want to offer you guys better perks, and there are an increasing number of you guys wanting to become members. So I want to make sure that I give you guys the best possible perks. So as you guys can see from tier 1, there are loyalty badges and also priority replies, whether it's in live streams or the comments of the videos. Now in tier 2, you'll get early access to my videos, which I usually record in the night and upload in the on the next morning. So once I've kind of recorded it and pre-uploaded it at night, you guys would be the first to see it. So that's where you'll get the early access and also a members chat as well for the tier 2 members, because those of you guys who want quicker replies from me, I am very active on the tier 2 private Discord channel, which is solely for members as well. And of course, I will answer the queries a little bit quicker as compared to comments or live streams, right? So there we go for tier 2. And then tier 3, that's unlimited feedback for those of you guys who want some one-to-one team feedback. Whether it's every game week, you just get unlimited feedback and you can ask me any of your questions. So I hope you guys enjoy these tiers and find it helpful, especially for the members that are currently already members, right? So if you guys do want in on the channel membership, right above me, as you guys can see, you can just click the join button to become a member and get these exclusive perks, or you can click the first link in the description. It also brings you to the channel memberships option, right? So aside from that, for those of you guys who aren't interested to become members at all, that is totally fine. I of course appreciate you guys watching my videos and supporting me in whichever way that you guys are, and I'm excited to play FPL 23-24 season with you guys. So I hope you guys do subscribe to the channel so that you will be up to date with all the videos and also my latest team and transfers as well, right? But for now, that's it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one very soon.